I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide, Cole Johnson. And on this episode, we'll talk about Nuggets, Heat, Celtics, Panthers, Hurricanes, Stars, Golden Knights, and many other things. NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and all sorts of things, because you are now joined the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Johnson here, Cole Sportz on tap. And as we will do intermittently throughout the show, we will go to the VIP zone because it's you that's the lifeblood of this show. And at those moments, we will gauge as to what you have to say, since this is live on the Cole Sportz with the Z YouTube. Because what you say does matter. And now, headlines, please. There was a Game 4, I think. Yes, Monday night. Yeah, that's right. Game 4, Crypto.com Arena. The Lakers hosting the Nuggets. They were trying to thwart a sweep, but with an errant LeBron James layup with no time remaining, it did not happen. The Nuggets did beat the Lakers 113-111. They swept the series, and now, for the first time in their NBA iteration, the Nuggets are in the NBA Finals, and they're now waiting for who is going to come out of the East. We will talk a little bit about who is responsible for, well, partly responsible for the Nuggets' advancement to the Finals, and we will talk about another figure a little later as well. But just know that in the 47 years that the Nuggets have existed in the NBA, they now can say this is the furthest their team has advanced. Congratulations to the Nuggets. Congratulations to the Rocky Mountain area. Congratulations to the Denver fans. It is a wonderful treat and a wonderful feat. We will talk a little bit more about that and them and those moving parts momentarily. Now, who are they going to play? Well, it looked like it was going to be the Heat, because after the first half of last night's game, it seemed as though the Celtics did not really have an answer. However, they got a 38-point third quarter, buoyed by the strength of Jason Tatum waking up, and he finished with a game-high 33 points as the Celtics beat the Heat in South Beach 116-99. Now, along with his 33, Jaylen Brown had 17, Darren White had 16, Al Horford with 12, Marcus Smart with 11, and off the bench, Greg Williams with 14. And for the losing Heat, 29 points for Butler, who still is on his torrid pace, 16 off the bench for Martin, 17 for Vincent, and pretty much that was all the true contribution from the Heat. Well, they didn't get the sweep. However, they can get the gentleman's sweep tomorrow night when they go to Boston. Now, if that doesn't happen, Game 6 will go back to South Beach, and they'll play that on Saturday. And if there is, and it so happens to be, if there's going to be Game 7 place on Memorial Day night. Will we see a 7-game series, or will we see the Heat get the Celtics out the way and then meet up with the Nuggets for what I would say is a rousing conference finals? NBA finals. We shall see. But the Heat are up 3-1, and they only need one game in the next 3 to seal the deal. And speaking of sealing the deal, it looks as though the Golden Knights going to the ice are one game closer to doing so. In fact, they only need one other game to do that, because yesterday on the home ice of the Stars, the fans just didn't like the 4-0 shutout that the Golden Knights pitched to the Stars. In fact, it was so bad that Ottinger, the goaltender of the Stars, was pulled early in the second quarter. But the American Airlines Center crowd just did not like it, to the point where they threw trash on the ice. It even hit the goalie of the Golden Knights, Aiden Hill. And it was popcorn, thankfully. it was a sight, I guess you could say, for sore eyes, and it was so prolific that the CEO of the Stars had to officially apologize for what he called unacceptable actions of trash throwing fans. Now, the CEO went onward to say the following. Yeah, boy. Quote, their actions were unacceptable and put the safety of the players and the fans at risk. The actions of these individuals certainly do not reflect our great city, organization, and fan base. Close quote. Well, I hate to say this, Mr. Alberts, Brett Alberts, the CEO of the Stars. If you're dealing with the Cowboys, you might be saying something different. But the Stars, or at least the fans of the Stars, have actually been pretty good all this time. This was a minor setback in terms of how they approached this game. Game 4 tomorrow night on that same ice in Dallas. The Stars will have to do a whole lot to stave off a sweep, but it looks like right now the Golden Knights are the class of the Western Conference. Shifting up the Eastern Conference of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, it looks like the class of this conference is not the Hurricanes, it's actually the Panthers. Well, Carolina coach Rod Brind'Amour, he spent more time yesterday shaking his head over the unfortunate deluge of what has been the Panthers' charge. This is what's befuddling. He's trying to fix something that it seems to be unfixable, and he just simply can't. Regarding how the Hurricanes have been playing against the Panthers. Now, the offense is getting chances, and the defense is pretty much being stout. It's just that the Panthers in each game has just been a wee bit better than the Hurricanes each step of the way. I mean, when the games were in Carolina, Raleigh, they both went to overtime, and it took 2 overtime goals by Tkachuk for the Panthers to win each of those games. Even the goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky, has actually been pretty good. He has stopped 132 of a possible 135 shots in the series, but it's just not. So what can the Hurricanes do? I mean, if you have a goalie on the end that's only allowing a goal a game, that's kind of tough. And Brind'Amour went on to, I guess you could say, bemuse and labor this point by saying the following, quote, that is the toughest way to lose a game. When you come back in and it's a play here or there that you didn't make, that's the whole difference in this series right now. It's definitely frustrating. The key is you can't let it change your mindset. We're not going to win 4 games tomorrow. We've got to try to win 1. Close quote. Well, we will see if they can actually do that tonight as they go back to South Beach and try to get that 1 game and then hopefully force a Game 5 back in Raleigh Friday night. All right, let's go from the ice to the gridiron, shall we? The New York Jets are actually going to try working out former punter Matt Araiza. Now, you might know the name, you might not know the name, but if you're unfamiliar with him, he was the guy who was accused back when he was at San Diego State of sexually assaulting a woman in college. But it was proven that the story was fabricated. Earlier this month, USA Today published a story which it interviewed Araiza and his accuser and obtained an almost 2-hour recording where the San Diego County prosecutor met with the woman and her attorney. Now, in that recording, the prosecutor gave point-by-point explanations to why her office never charged Araiza or others, with any crimes. The recording references 9 brief video clips of the woman's sexual encounters of that night. None of them showed Araiza, who has always denied wrongdoing. So has his parents, actually. It seems to be more of these stories of women who cry wolf, but I'm not going to say every woman does that because every woman does not. Some do, unfortunately. And when you do that, you cause to ruin an athlete's life. Brian Banks, former linebacker, who I think he eventually got out of, he actually was in jail for rape. It turned out for 5 years. It turned out he did not rape this woman. He got out of jail and he played, I think, maybe half a season for the Falcons. It can really cause damage. And he was one of those high prospects coming out of college, and this rape allegation messed his whole life up. So you got to be careful if you're going to throw these charges toward these athletes. Make sure it's the right one, because if it's wrong, you are causing major league damage, and you should not do that to any athlete. Now, from the gridiron to the diamond, Mike Trout. Yes, that Mike Trout. Yes, the Angels outfielder. He's going to tie and pass many greats on his way up the home run list. But there's something special, though, when you can say that you got a chance to tie Joe DiMaggio. Yes, with his 361st homer that he hit in the 8th inning of last night's 4-0 win over the Boston Red Sox, he tied the Yankee Clipper for 85th on the all-time home run list in Major League Baseball. The 3-time AL MVP said that he did not know that he tied DiMaggio until one of his teammates told him in the clubhouse after the game. Now, he said it meant a lot to him, and that anytime you pass a great or even tie one or be in the same conversation with one, he feels as though it's a really special thing, especially considering it's another outfielder, double especially another center fielder. And all we have to say here at Cole Sportz is congratulations to you, Mike. We know 361 is not all you have in you. We know that 500 is the first of the many milestone homer marks that you're going to set, barring major catastrophe and injury. But yeah, congratulations to you, Mike. Wonderful player, one of the great faces of the league. Hopefully you can continue that journey. And that concludes this week's headlines. Break, and on the other side, we're going to actually put our flowers towards someone who deserves it, because it's about time he gets the love. This is Cole Sportz with the Z. We'll be right back right after this.
A TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations. Johnson, Cole Sportz, and there's a Serbian we need to give props to. Now, before we do that, though, we make our first of many trips to the VIP zone. And if the comment is sterling or shining, it will be, and I'm talking about the quote itself, a chapter in the YouTube video episode that you see right in front of your eyes. And of course, you'll have to look at the replay and get who is going to have what comment when. And joining the fray is my partner on Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. That is Snowman Multimedia, a.k.a. Snowman. He says, can't wait. Let's get it. And you have V-Like83. He says, good afternoon. It's that time once again for the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz with the Z. And now, show your love for the star of Cole Sportz, Cole Johnson. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Rod Roddy, or Ed McMahon, or any of the ones who pitches to the main host of whatever show. He says, great show, Snowman. I think he's probably alluding to the Brian Snow show. Stuck in My Mind podcast zone, or the Mentality co-host. My man, Why Is It Heavy? He says, hello, everyone. He says, what's up, my brother? What's up to you, man? And tune in to one of the greatest interviewers that you have on tap. He has a wonderful interview on tap for the Stuck in My Mind podcast brand. It is later on today at 5 p.m. Eastern, so tune in to that. And he does his thing. I can shower him with all sorts of platitudes from this point on to the rest of the show. Victor says, look, whether it's lawman or bizarre, it's always great to see Wise. I agree with you, sir. Victor also says, something tells me these trash-throwing fans may be part of the moronic Republic of Cowboys Nation. We'll point them out. Thank you for that, Victor. I hope you do. I want you to. As a Cowboys fan, I want you to out these fools so they do not stain any other sporting event in Dallas or any other area or any other stadium across this great planet of ours. Ryan McCarthy, no credentials required fame. He says it's time for Cole Sportz, where I appreciate a brother utilizing metal and punk in his elements. I love that. Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad that you noticed that. Well, hey, this is a diverse show. Why should I cheat even musically? In that vein. And speaking of cheating, I really feel as though someone has been cheated out of the proper respect due him. And why am I saying this? Because I've been seeing so many disturbing things being said or being typed about one Nikola Jokic, the center of the Nuggets. People were saying that the 2 MVPs he got, he didn't deserve, that he is not the great player that he is, that he pads stats. I'll go into a little further about it, but it just is time to stop this ridiculous charade. Let's give the man his props, and let's give it to him now. Email Today NBA Fan. CC Bronzexuals. Subject of email: Nikola Jokic is a beast. Body of email: What other evidence do you need? What other evidence do you need? And then people were actually whining about the fact that Jokic was named the Magic Johnson Western Conference MVP of the Western Conference Finals, I should say MVP. People were whining that he was getting that award over Jamal Murray. And yes, I get it. Jamal Murray, the first ever guy in a conference final to give you 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, and shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. Yes, those are wonderful things. And yes, he had a big hand, in my opinion, in 2 of those 4 victories, Game 2 and Game 3. And I will give him mad props. It was his hot shooting in fourth quarter Game 2 that got them the W in Denver. And then in LA, it was his hot shooting in the first half of Game 3, which It stemmed the tide of the others, including Jokic, who just simply did not have it. Could not find the bucket, but he did, and he could, and he was good. He was true. I love that. But Jokic in the first round, in the conference semifinals, and in the conference finals, he kept giving you one triple-double after another triple-double after another triple-double. He started off the conference finals with a triple-double in the first half. So, yes, Jamal Murray deserves his props. So does Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So does Aaron Gordon. So does Michael Porter Jr. So does even Bruce Brown. They contributed pretty hefty in the fact that the Nuggets got to the number 1 seed and cruised through the playoffs into the finals. But it was all predicated on number 15 controlling it all. What makes you think that this guy is not it? I mean, he has great he has great post moves. And I've said this on Snowman in the Morning. He pounds the boards, especially on the offensive boards. He pounds the boards like Moses Malone used to. He has great post moves like a Kevin McHale or Kareem. He does the highest screening role probably better than I've seen anybody do it since Bill Laimbeer. And he can pop out and shoot threes as smoothly as Larry Bird and as effortlessly as Jack Sigma. You're talking about a player with an all-around game that just makes your jaw drop. Whether it's the passing, because he has great court vision, whether it's the handles, because he does for a big man have really good handles, whether it is the decision he makes in the pick and roll and the high screening roll, or whether it's the fact that he just shows that you just simply cannot muscle him because he just is such a man, he will outmuscle you no matter the phase of the game. And he's pretty good on the defensive end too. He may not be the best defender I've seen as a center, but he's pretty good. His game is all around. You don't believe me? Monday night, he did something no other player in NBA history has done, and that is notch his 8th triple-double in the playoffs. Now, Wilt Chamberlain held the record of 7 way back in 1967, and that record has stood from then to now. And here you have Nikola Jokic, who broke that record. And oh, by the way, there's one more set of games left, and he's going to play at least 4 more. So he could possibly have at least 4 more. I mean, he probably could have at most 4 more. He's a remarkable player, and the MVPs that he won in 2020 and 2021. 2021 and 2022, they were warranted, especially in 2022 when people were actually crying and whimpering over the fact that Embiid, who, yes, he was part of a team that had a better record, and he scored 30 points. Yes, I understand why people would say, well, he needs to win MVP. Jokic in 2022 was without Michael Porter for 73 games. He was without Jamal Murray for the whole season. And he took that whole team on his shoulders and virtually by himself got the Nuggets into the playoffs, got them past the play-in round, got them to the playoffs. And when the Warriors got to him in the first round, he ran out of gas. But he put the whole franchise on his back and got to the playoffs with his own might. To me, that is the quintessential definition of a most valuable player, because if you took him off the equation, the Nuggets were nowheresville. That is how good Jokic is. So you insert him in there with these wonderful talents. Oh, and by the way, you add an Aaron Gordon in the mix, who actually is now starting to prove that he is a solid NBA player now. And you add Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who I think has a chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove that the bubble days of the Lakers wasn't a fluke. You have a team with good talent around one of the most skilled basketball players in today's game. You should get what you get. And I'm going to say this right in front of the camera right now. You're hating on this man today, NBA fan, because he's white, because he's not American, because he actually comes from Europe. You dislike him for those reasons. Now, you back a black guy like Joel Embiid, who, yes, he was going to get his MVP because he campaigned for it ever since Mother's Day of last year, and we get around to Mother's Day of this year, he got it. Heartwarming, touching moment in the conference semifinals in Game 3 when he got the award. But where is Embiid? And where's Jokic? That's all that matters. Stop cheating this man. Stop selling this man short. Stop not giving him his flowers. Embiid, yes, he had a really good season. Jokic, he's had a great stretch for at least the last 3 years. And he got a taste of what the past series that they now advanced in the bubble 3 years ago, where he got a chance to ride the wave of Jamal Murray being playoff Jamal. And he did his thing, but he wasn't quite ready to shine the way he's shining now. That tune has changed. And now, whether it's the Celtics or the Heat, more than likely it's going to be the Heat, you have a problem down low. You can't stop him. And in the words of Dan Patrick, you can only hope to contain him. And if you can, good luck to you. If you can't, the NBA world champions will reside in the Rocky Mountains. Congratulations to the Nuggets for being the Western Conference champs in 2023. And congratulations to Nikola Jokic, who is the DiMaggio Johnson Western Conference Finals MVP. Who, oh, by the way, the named person on the award, Magic Johnson, says that Jokic is changing the game, much like Kobe, and Shaq, and Bird, and Jordan. Pretty hefty names. I happen to agree with that Hall of Famer because he's right on the money. Right on the money. Cole Johnson, Cole Sportz, Cole Sportz. With a Z at gmail.com. From the Vault next, and then DOLT of the Week. You're listening to the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz! From the Vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history. May 24th, 1967. The AFL needed two teams, and former Cleveland Browns head coach Paul Brown had this itch and began a push to give Cincinnati one of those two franchises. Now, by November of 1966, the then Commissioner Pete Rozelle indicated that Cincinnati had the inside track to win a franchise because voters in Seattle turned down a vote for a stadium in September of that year. Now, then Ohio's Governor James Rhodes presented a proposal on behalf of Cincinnati one day earlier, but a vote requiring approval from 7 of the 9 owners of the AFL was delayed, with terms of ownership in the stadium being factors. By this time, Cincinnati already was approved of a construction for a new stadium that would, of course, later become Riverfront Stadium, the multi-purpose cookie-cutter facility, which cost less than $50 million. Now, despite that, though, most sources labeled May 23rd, 1967 as the date the Cincinnati Bengals were born. However, according to AP, the newspaper was dated May 24th. Now, there were 5 different ownership groups seeking to become owners, but only 2 groups with a realistic chance had a shot at it. Now, of course, after months of speculation, the league awarded Paul Brown with the franchise that summer. Now, Brown had been out of football since 1963 when Art Modell ushered the then coach out of the Cleveland Browns organization in 1963. A franchise turned into an embodiment of vengeance for Paul Brown, and for the next 56 years, the rest, as they say, is history. The AFL gets Cincinnati a shot at being in the NFL game, I should say the professional football game, and later on, the NFL franchise known as the Cincinnati Bengals was born on this date in 1967. From the vault, brought to you by Cole Sportz. This is a journey into crime. A podcast journey that tells the stories of those long forgotten or those easy to remember. We go on a journey that reveals mystery, intrigue, and offers more twists and turns than a country highway. We have looked over cases, we've combed over evidence and testimony, yet we still are left with no answers. Sometimes, in order to get a deeper understanding of something, you must return to view. Now available for download for subscribers only. Each episode premieres only on the USA Today network. Join now for just $1 to receive premium content like Return to View. That's $1 to become a subscriber and a Return to View loyal listener. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. Welcome back to Cole Sportz. Cole Johnson here, and back to the VIP zone we go. And of course, this is going to be the Victor Locke special here, because his comments are the ones that's going to rule the day. He says, it's so aggravating and maddening that instead of Dallas fans enjoying an amazing series between the Stars and the Golden Knights, the idiot moronic Republic of Cowboys Nation must ruin everything. Yeah, and that is coming from a Cowboys fan, ladies and gentlemen. And I can't disagree with a single syllable he just uttered. He goes on to say, Nikola is someone who makes the center position popular again, a position that I loved playing when I was playing on the playground and in high school. And yes, sir, my favorite position in the NBA has always been, is now, and always will be the center position. Because I just love the fact you had the big guys who it made the smaller four positions be challenged in actually having to score. And I love that. And if they were agile enough, they would just make life all sorts of trouble for those who try to defend them. He goes on to say, I'm annoyed with today's NBA fan. It's not the most valuable black player. It's the most valuable player. And that is Nikola Jokic. Yeah. What else is there to say? I mean, the dude has proven it to you. I mean, he put forth a triple-double and a half on a playoff game. What else do you need? What else do you need for evidence? Snowman Multimedia, he says, today's NBA fan is not a fan. The Bronx Specials are taking over. And he comes on to say, Kareem made me learn the sky hook and Moses taught me offensive rebounding. Yes, to your point, Snowman, Moses Malone is one of the best offensive rebounders I have ever laid my eyes on. And I dare anybody show me anybody other than maybe Wilt Chamberlain, maybe even Bill Russell, who could give me a better offensive rebounder than Moses Malone. One of the best to ever be in the post. And yes, I include the Dennis Rodmans and the Kevin McHales and all that. And I have respect for all of them. But that is how beastly Moses was in the post. Unfortunately, someone is not beastly here. They're ghastly. And they are put under this microscope for a very good reason. So here is your next DOLT of the Week. DOLT of the Week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's DOLT of the Week is... Now the former recruiting, or I should say, former assistant director of football recruiting, Glenn Schembechler. The man that is known as Shimmy, the son, of course, yes, of longtime Michigan coach Bo Schembechler. He had to issue an apology this past weekend for offensive actions on Twitter that caused his resignation to have to happen from the football program that we know as the University of Michigan. Now, the 53-year-old had to step down 3 days after he was hired for the assistant director of football recruiting. Now, the reason why he had to step down and why he was called out is because, and this is his words, his statement conceded that he engaged in flippant behavior on Twitter. Now, what was that flippant behavior, you may ask? Well, there was numerous offensive and insensitive posts that he posted and that he backed and that he co-signed and that he agreed with. Of those posts were several suggesting that slavery and Jim Crow had the positive effect of strengthening black individuals and families. I don't think you heard what I said. This fool said that he suggested that posts that he looked at, that he co-signed and probably retweeted and liked, said slavery and Jim Crow had the positive effect of strengthening black individuals and families. Okay. Now, unfortunately, Shimmy is not that much older than I am. I will put it to you this way, sir. You grew up in the same generation I did. You got a chance to see your father do some many great things in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And you got a chance to see a lot of different divergent cultures along the way, being the son of a coach of one of the, I would dare say, 5 most impactful programs in the country at the time your father was coaching it. Your father grew up in the same generation mine did, and that was they got a chance to see Jim Crow. They got a chance to probably hear stories of slavery, and they weren't complimentary. Now, I've heard many people say, well, yeah, you have this stance, you have this understanding that, well, segregation caused to have businesses that you won't have in an integrated world like that's happening now. I've heard that argument before. So that would cause you to think, well, heck, Shimmy might be right. I mean, you had this cancerous thing called Jim Crow, and you had slavery before that. I mean, it united black families. You should not have anything unite families that causes trauma. I think that is something you have failed to understand. When you think Jim Crow, you think slavery, those entities produced trauma. Not drama, trauma, like as in psychological damage, like in physical damage, like as in emotional damage, like as in families being split, like innocent girls having sex with slave owners. So they actually produced children out of wedlock. So these things were positive. And when we get to Jim Crow days, when dolls were sicked on black individuals, and then you had fire departments and police departments hose down people, those were positive effects, right? That's what you're talking about? That's what you're talking about. You were one generation removed from those Jim Crow days, just like I was. How in the world could you be so stupid as to co-sign that crap and think that is okay? There's no way you could think that. But what am I thinking? I've lived on this earth long enough to know that there's some people who probably do think that cancerous stuff. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just so happened to run into you, Shimmy, and you believe in such a thing. But yes, your mea culpa is kind of laughable. Quote, any words or philosophies that in any way seek to underplay the immeasurable suffering and long-term economic and social inequities that hundreds of years of slavery and the Jim Crow era caused for black Americans is wrong. I was wrong. We must never sanitize morally unsanitary historical behaviors that have hindered the black community or any other community. There are no historical silver linings for the experience of our brothers and sisters. Close quote.
You've got to be joking me.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for typing that mea culpa. Because you can't have that hard of a 180 when you actually said that all those things you just mentioned was that had a positive impact on those like me. That my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents, they benefited from the cancer that was slavery and the cancer that was the Jim Crow era. You, in 2023, co-signed that and said that out of your mouth, Shimmy. So how in the world could you all of a sudden have this backtracking so hard of, dog, man, I can't co-sign something that is so morally bankrupt. But say that similar morally bankrupt thing was a uniting factor.
Come on!
What was the saying that Maya Angelou said before she passed away? Oh, yeah. When someone says something for the first time, believe them. And it upsets me that we still in 2023 have to deal with crap like this. We are human beings, Shimmy. And if you were to be whipped, to be beaten, to be spat on, to be pissed on, to be crapped on, to be beaten to within an inch of your life, and sometimes to be beaten past the inch of your life, to be shot at, to be shot, to be killed, to be murdered. And those are the more heinous parts of being hosed down, spat on, called the N-word, and being mistreated and misused and abused simply because of the skin color that you had no choice but to have. And you called those things a positive effect. Those things I just outlined, you said had a positive effect on my family. Family that looked like me. Family that looked like my man Victor. Family that looked like my man Snowman. Like my man Wise. Positive. And you wonder why I rail against those who say that you shouldn't, that you should not teach things like this in schools. It's because we got people who was taught this. All of a sudden not remember or forget altogether the idiocy that is slavery and Jim Crow, the devilment that is Jim Crow and slavery, the absolute atrocity of slavery and Jim Crow. Well, Shimmy, you have a really good nickname, but your moral meter, sir, you're bankrupt. You got to look in the mirror, son. You got to change your thought process. You got to change your heart. Because that crap is in you like Gatorade. And you got to get that poison out of you. Otherwise, we just will have to disregard you. Shimmy. One more break, and when we come back, LeBron James retiring? Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. We'll be right back.
You have to learn to live with yourself before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up, you know what I'm saying?
It just had everything, but I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy. Every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Quinn.
Moment of clarity. I haven't watched BT in years.
KP.
Drake needs to come back with another triple platinum album.
E Digga.
And then you have Ray J. Like, I can't stand that River Cricket.
The Guru.
Okay, the level of crack she's smoking, I don't want it.
BS3 Network proudly presents the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, where from card tips to hot topics to meat beef of the week, anything goes. Live every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Central. Coming up on next week's Cole Sportz, it's the Nuggets versus who from the East? From the NBA. In the NHL, it looks like it's going to be the Panthers and the Golden Knights. It might be. But we'll talk about the Stanley Cup Final and the beginnings of the Stanley Cup Final and the NBA Finals for next week. And there's going to be many other things we're going to talk about. Of course, happy Memorial Day, or I should say, commemorate those who have given their lives over for the greatest sacrifice of making us free in this country. We will talk a little bit more about that as well, and other things of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other variety of all things sports, because that's what we do. Classic sports show on the planet, right? Back to the VIP zone we go, the lifeblood of this show, and I just love these people. Victor starts it off. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Ryan starts it off, and he says, "I forgot to mention in the headline segment that Aiden Hill of Vegas is one of the best under-the-radar stories of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he might backstop the Golden Knights to the final." The dude has been a brick wall in this playoff, man. He has been a brick wall. You just cannot get anything past this guy. Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. And I think he will probably be the main reason why the Golden Knights hoist the Stanley Cup, the Lord Stanley's Cup, later, because I just don't think the Stars have it in them to just go 4 straight. But that's for a different topic for a different time. V-Like83 says, and now Stupid University presents DOLT of the Week. DOLT of the Week, Ryan McCarthy says, is proudly sponsored by Stupid University. Stupid University, where everyone gets left back. Victor says, so Shimmy either can't read or is just a real bonehead. Heck, it might be both, Victor. Who knows, bro? Ryan says, wow. That's right up there with Kyreeda Houston Brown retweeting the promotion of the Black Hebrew Israelites movie. Victor says, this is probably the biggest reason why we need to push reading. And comprehension needs to be pushed in school. Yes, because how can anybody when you understand what slavery is and you understand what Jim Crow did and why Jim Crow was instituted, why would anybody say that was a positive? I don't care what hue of skin that is on your body. How can you say that those were positive things when all you can see is the negative? And I'm not talking about pictures wise. I'm just talking about with the explanation of both those entities. When you say slavery and Jim Crow, you can't think but negative things. Positive effect on black families. I'm sorry. Snowman says, wow, Kyreeda Herbal Tea, eat your heart out. Yes. Victor said, Shimmy may end up being a double winner because not only is he the DOLT of the week, but I think he will be a front runner for effing moron of the year. And for those who have not tuned into Mentality, you must do so, because I will say this right now, Victor. We will talk about this on the next episode of Mentality, and that episode will premiere Memorial Day and every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central on the Comey Media Incorporated YouTube channel, Comey Media Inc. YouTube channel. Yes, you will see that, and we will talk about Mr. Glenn Schembechler, a.k.a. Shimmy. And Snowman Multimedia give me right started. He says, Dear LaFraud, you fired. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. What you say? Thank you, Ray Charles. And speaking of LeBron James, after the 113-111 loss that, I'm so sorry. Let me do this correctly. After the 113-111... the Lakers took at the hands of the Nuggets to be swept out of the Western Conference Finals. LeBron James, after he congratulated many of the Nuggets, walked to the locker room and went to the press conference for the post-game press conference that he had to appear on, and he hinted at retirement. Going back to thinking about how the rigors of what has been a strenuous year for him, and having another person retire, it probably is weighing heavily on him. But this is why I believe it is more of one thing than another as I go in. So no one has done things like this 38-year-old has done. Nobody has put forth a 36-8 stat line like LeBron James at 38. All right. This is a direct shot to bronsexuals. Guess what? LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan have in common. At 38 years old, all three gentlemen received no rings. But I can think of somebody who at 38 years and a little less than 2 months of age, he did get a ring. His name was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he also got a Finals MVP to boot. So this wasn't a token championship he won. No, he outright earned it by being the best player on the floor. At 38. That is something you should laud, but I did not hear that from you bronsexuals because you were so adamant about saying that LeBron James at 38 has done things that no other 38-year-old has done, and I, with my own 4 eyes, saw different. But even with your extensive ability to go on YouTube or Google, you did not. But Yo Kang is about to retire. But whoa, I'm not so sure about that. And this is why I say that. So he hinted at it. He talked about it. But I don't think he's going to do it. Why? Because I think this is a shell game. I think this is something that we have seen with him, not necessarily retirement, but in other matters. Like, let's go back 13 years, shall we? When after the conference semifinals booting that the Cavs took at the hands of the Celtics, where LeBron was coy. He was saying that he believed that he's about winning, and he believes that at the time, the Cavs were, well, let me do this even real correctly. Hold up. So, at the time, and this came out of his mouth. At the time when he suffered that conference semifinals L to the Celtics, he said, quote, "It's all about winning for me. And I think the Cavs are committed to do that. But at the same time, I've given myself options to this point." Close quote. Now, I don't have to mention what happened 2 months later. He took another option. Let's put it that way. Or how about going 4 years later, 2014, when he had to bow out in 5 to the Spurs in the NBA Finals. And, people were knowing that, well, okay, LeBron's contract is up. Is he going to re-up with the Heat? Is he going to go somewhere else? Who knows? And he said then, quote, "You guys are trying to find answers. I'm not going to give you one. I'm just not going to give it to you. When I get to that point, I'll deal with it." Close quote. And of course, the next time you heard from him, he put out an ad in the Cleveland's newspaper which said, "I'm coming home." Or how about after the 2015 finals, when after the first year it went a little sour, and people wanted to know what was with his psyche, and he offered this quote: "I always look at it. Would I rather not make the playoffs or lose in the finals? I don't know. I'm almost starting to be like, I'd rather not even make it playoffs than to lose in the finals. It would hurt a lot easier if I just didn't make the playoffs and I didn't have a shot at it." Close quote. Fast forward 7 years later, he drops a tweet which says that he promises to never again miss the playoffs and that it hurt that he missed it. You see, it's those types of back talking and the interwoven guess what I'm thinking type of comments and thought processes that just makes you say, I really can't take him fully seriously. So when it was intimated that retirement is on the table, my thought process was it goes to Aaron Rodgers. For the last 3 years, he's played this will he, won't he game because he was dissatisfied with how the Packers were moving when it came to their offseason deals and moves. To the point where now he is a member of the Jets, getting away from the team after an absolutely atrocious 2022 season where they started off abjectly horrible, feverishly rushed all the way back to put themselves in position to make the playoffs with a single win on the last game of the year when the Lions decided to kick them out. And oh, by the way, kicked them out with Rodgers playing absolutely subpar. But after the 2022 season and then the 2021 season and then the 2020 season, he was like, give me some time, I'll let you know. And in the summer, he would, or in the spring, he'll let you know, yeah, I'm coming back. He did that this year. And I think that's what we're going to see with LeBron. He's going to give you the, it's been a rough year. I suffered injuries. I didn't play as many games as I'd want. He ended up playing 55 games this past year. He played 56 the year before. I missed too many games to my liking, and I want to make that commitment, and it's going to be tough for me. Those types of comments, what makes you say, okay, well, this 38-year-old is trending toward retirement. He might be, and he actually might give it some serious thought. But when you can move the needle still, and he comes off of the court putting forth a 40-point, 10-rebound, 9-assist performance in the very last game of his 2023 season, the 20th year of his campaign and of his career, the 20th campaign of his career, I should say, it's going to be hard to just simply put that down and say, I got to go, unless something really enticing is in the athletic afterlife. Like say, for example, Tom Brady, who now is part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, if he had that, and he still has a 10-year, $375 million deal to be the color guy of the number one team on Fox. And I think that's supposed to start not this year, but next. If LeBron had those types of things happening in his retirement and it's lined up for him to do that, and we know that this is what's going to be in the offering, then I think his mode would be different. But all he knows how to do is ball. I'm not saying he's the best baller that I've seen, but that is all he's known how to do, and that's all he knows what to do at the moment, because that's what he wants to do. So it's enticing to throw retirement out there from the standpoint of it'll be great to not have bronzexuals talk talk about him from July 1st to July 30th the next year, because it would be great to not talk about this individual every single day of the year. From that aspect, it'd be wonderful if he retires. But it's from that same aspect he won't, because he enjoys the barbershop conversations. He enjoys the specter. He enjoys the allure. He enjoys the spotlight. He enjoys being the face of the league, although he's not the best player in the game. He enjoys being the measuring stick by which all others are judged in this era. And yes, you can argue by statistics that's not the case, by revolution of the game that's not the case. No, by box office it is the case, whether we want to admit that or not. He is the straw which stirs the NBA drink even now, going into the offseason before his 21st season in the NBA. And now, to me, LeBron is the type where he would look at things outside of basketball, like Tom Brady, and say, Brady played 23 years. I think I can go 24. That is how he thinks. And so he would have another bit of motivation, of course, along with wanting to play alongside Bronny, to be the father-son duo, like Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. back in 1989 when they were on the Mariners. That would be something that I know LeBron would like to have. So those carrots are being dangled in front of him. None of them scream away from the court. Like there isn't an ownership opportunity that's been leaked that he's jumping after. There isn't a booth he's going to climb in to be color guy. There isn't an analyst chair he's going to sit in to break down the sport. And there has not been a business deal big enough that would reel him away from the allure that is being cheered or booed by 20,000 people every single night he steps on the floor. So do I think he's going to retire? No. Do I feel retirement is going to be a thought process in his mind? Yes. Because you got to understand, when you get to about 40, the things that you could do with ease at 20, at 28, at even 30 or 31 or 32, you can't do quite as easily. Not at 38, not at 39, not at 40. Because as I said before, and I'll say again, even and including LeBron James, Father Time is undefeated. One more time, we will venture into the VIP zone where Victor, he says, wait a minute, what happened to being a church mouse snowman? And in a little bit of...
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a special report from Cole Sportz.
This just into the Cole Sportz news desk, and no, this is not actually a sports-related thing, but this is something news-related. The musical behemoth known as Tina Turner, the pioneering soul-turned-rock star, has succumbed. She has passed away. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer died in her home in Switzerland after a long illness, according to a statement on her official social media accounts. It was announced that it was with great sadness they announced the passing of Tina. And today we say goodbye to a dear friend who leaves all of her greatest work, her music. And for many years, she lived a reclusive lifestyle while battling ill health, including a stroke 10 years ago, intestinal cancer in 2016, and a kidney transplant in 2017. I echo the sentiments of my co-podcasting partner, or not partner, but co-casting brother in Ryan when he says that rest the power Tina Turner. We say the same. Tina Turner, rock and roll Hall of Famer, soul queen, and a rock star, dead at the age of 83.
This has been a special report from Cole Sportz. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming, already in progress.
And also, our condolences to the Jim Brown family. He passed away over this past weekend. He was 87, and he basically was a living legend, the biggest of living legends, definitely in football. And now he's one of the greatest legends ever. And to me, the greatest running back to ever tote the rock. So Jim Brown, he has passed away at the age of 87. He started American, and he got out of the sport during the prime of his career. He got out at 30, and then he became an action star after the 9 years of being in the NFL. Now, if you feel led to donate to this program, all you have to do is go to cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. That's cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. And that will do it for this episode of Cole Sportz. That is for me and for those who represent this brand. I am Cole Johnson, and this is Cole Sportz with a Z.
Thank you for tuning in to Cole Sportz. To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sportz with a Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sportz VIP Boutique. That's with a Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.